get ready for a quick quest guide for the Between a Rock quest, in which the main rewards for completing are a heavy gold helmet, access to the Arzinian Mine, the ability to teleport to Dondakan's rock using a Ring of Wealth, 5000 defense XP, 5000 mining XP, 5000 smithing XP, and 2 quest points. You'll need to have completed both the Dwarf Cannon and Fishing Contest quests before taking on this one, and while not required, it's helpful to have also started the Giant Dwarf quest. Then in terms of skill requirements, you'll need to have 50 smithing, 40 mining, and 30 defense. 50 combat is also recommended to defeat a boss that's between level 75 and 125 depending on how much gold you mine beforehand. And because of this boss, it can be helpful to have 43 prayer for access to protection prayers. You'll also need to defeat a handful of level 14 scorpions as well. When it comes to items, you'll need the best pickaxe you can use, around 1000 coins to cover all possible expenses during the quest, 4 gold bars, and additionally a hammer. When it comes to recommended items, you'll want a weapon, armor, and around 4 to 10 pieces of food to defeat the level 75 to 125 boss. I'd also suggest bringing along 1 prayer potion to help with the boss fight, as well as 2 to 3 stamina potions to help with the running around. Then for teleports, you'll want a fully charged Ring of Wealth, a charged Amulet of Glory, a charged combat bracelet, as well as a charged games necklace. If you haven't yet started the Giant Dwarf quest, then you'll also need 1 teleport to get to the Keldagrim cave entrance in order to travel to the quest start. I'll pop options for this alongside their requirements on screen now. And remember to bring along your drum and staff if you're using fairy rings. Finally, you'll want 5 empty inventory spaces at the quest start. Now you can begin this quest at Dondakan's rock, and we'll firstly cover getting there. Provided you've started the Giant Dwarf quest, then we're going to begin at the Grand Exchange. Once you're there, run to the trapdoor at the northwestern corner of the exchange before selecting travel on it to use the minecart system to travel to Keldagrim. Once you arrive, run northwest to the boat along the stream, and after reaching the dock, select travel on the Dwarven Boatman to arrive at the entry area. Next, select travel on the Dwarven Ferryman, not to be confused with the boatman, to then cross the bridge. From here, run east across the bridge, then north for a little while, and then loop back and head west across another bridge until you reach an area where Dondakan hangs out. Alternatively, if you haven't started the Giant Dwarf, then you'll want to travel to the dungeon sign northeast of Relica, and I'll pop up a map showcasing a range of options for getting there alongside their requirements. From here, choose to enter the Keldagrim tunnel entrance, and then go through the cave directly to your east. Now locate the Dwarven Ferryman, not to be confused with the boatman, and select travel on the ferryman to cross the bridge. From here, run east across the bridge, then north for a little while, before looping back and heading west across another bridge until you see Dondakan hanging out near a campfire. To start the quest, talk to Dondakan and firstly ask, why are you firing a cannon at a wall? And after more chatter where you learn he's trying to break an impenetrable rock, select yes to officially start the Between a Rock quest. Now continue the chat, and when more chat options appear, just click off from the chat. Following this, run east for a while before turning and heading southwest back to a dock. And here select travel on the Dwarven Ferryman to head to the dock south. Now run a little west and then select travel on the Dwarven Boatman to head to Keldagrim. Note that if you have not started the Giant Dwarf, then you'll get a cutscene introducing the area and be taken by some guards and given the option to start the Giant Dwarf quest. You're going to want to start it to gain Keldagrim minecart access. Either way, once you arrive in Keldagrim, you'll want to head to the anvil sign within the palace, which is on the western side of the building. From the boat, you'll be traveling west across the bridge and then south into the palace. Once you're inside, talk to the Dwarven engineer and continue through the chat with him. After the chat ends, use your combat bracelet to teleport to the monastery, and then run a little south, then west up the first part of the mountain, before running southwest to the Dwarven Mine entrance. When you arrive, enter the western building and choose to trade Nulodian, before purchasing an ammo mold from him for 5 coins. Afterwards, exit that building and then enter the one to your east, before locating Rolad inside and talking to him. Go through the long chat with him, with the chat breaking and then automatically continuing. And once it ends, exit his house and climb down the ladder into the Dwarven Mines. The first thing you'll want to do is search the minecarts until you find book page 2. There are 2 minecarts just southwest of the entry ladder, but I'll also pop up a map showcasing the locations of all the minecarts within the mine. Keep searching them until you find book page 2. Following this, run to the southeastern area of the mines, but do not enter into the mining guild. Here you'll be surrounded by scorpions. Continue killing level 14 scorpions until you obtain book page 1, which will be placed right into your inventory. Following this, stay in this area and mine either copper, tin or iron rocks until you obtain book page 3. This can take a little while, or you can get lucky like I did, and again make sure that you're mining rocks outside of the mining guild. Once you obtain the final page, the 3 pages in your inventory will combine into a pages item. After obtaining this, run north for a while in the mines, and then go northwest and climb back up the ladder that you used to enter the mines. Next, enter the eastern building and chat to Rolad once again, with the chat breaking and then automatically continuing. Keep chatting and then say, of course, lie, before finishing off the chat to obtain the Dwarven Lore book. Select to read this book and go through all of its pages before then closing it. Following this, use your Ring of Wealth to teleport to the Grand Exchange and then run to the trapdoor at the northwestern corner of it, before selecting travel on it to use the minecart system to travel to Keldagrim. Once you arrive, run northwest to the boat along the stream, and after arriving at the dock, select travel on the Dwarven Boatman to arrive at the entry area. Next, select travel on the Dwarven Ferryman to cross the bridge. From here, just like you did before, run east across the bridge, then north for a little while, and then loop back and head west across another bridge until you arrive back at Dondakan. Now talk to Dondakan and after some chatter ask, what have you tried so far? And after more dialogue ask, what else did you try? And after chatting a bit longer, you'll then get a cutscene whereby he kicks the rock. Then the chat continues, and when dialogue options appear, just click off from the chat. Following this, use one of your gold bars on Dondakan and then continue through the dialogue. When the chat finishes, use your Amulet of Glory to teleport to Edgeville and then run east to the furnace. Now use your gold bar on the furnace and then select yes to make a golden cannonball, which will appear in your inventory moments later. Gold cannonball obtained, it's time to return to Dondakan. If you have 21 agility, then you can run a little northeast and use the underwater tunnel shortcut before going a tad south to the minecart trapdoor. Alternatively, you can use your Ring of Wealth to teleport to the Grand Exchange before running northwest to the trapdoor. Now select travel on it to use the minecart system to travel to Keldagrim. Once you arrive, run northwest to the boat along the stream, and after arriving at the dock, select travel on the Dwarven Boatman to arrive at the entry area. Next, select travel on the Dwarven Ferryman to cross the bridge. From here, just like you did before, run east across the bridge, then north for a little while, and then loop back and head west across another bridge until you arrive back at Dondakan. Use your gold cannonball on Dondakan and after some chatter say, yes, I'm sure this will crack open the rock, which then starts a cutscene where the cannonball passes through the rock, and when it ends, continue the chat for a while before asking, so you want to fire me into a rock? And following some more dialogue say, I can't argue with that, shoot me in, and then go through the rest of the chat to obtain a schematic. Next, read your Dwarven Lore book and go through the pages before closing it, after which you'll want to select yes to tear out and obtain the base schematics. Following this, run east for a while before turning and heading southwest back to a dock. And here select travel on the Dwarven Ferryman to head to the dock south. Now run a little west and then select travel on the Dwarven Boatman to head into Keldagrim. After you arrive in Keldagrim, run west across the bridge and then south into the palace. and head into the room in the middle with the anvil sign where the dwarf engineer hangs out. Talk to the dwarf engineer and go through the chat to obtain some schematics, and following this use a gold bar on the anvil in the room and then be very careful and select the golden helmet option to make a golden helmet. After you've made it, then wear it, because fashionscape. Also, it's needed. On top of this, if you're below 43 prayer, then I would take a moment to hop into the bank just west and grab a little more food now for the boss fight coming up a bit later. Next, use your games necklace to teleport to Burthorpe and then run south past the Heroes Guild and a little further southwest to the dungeon sign east of White Wolf Mountain. Once you arrive, go down the stairs and then go a tad southwest to the pub. Inside, locate and talk to Jorvak before going through the chat with him. When chat options appear, say, "No, I've had enough of buying drinks for people," and after your rant, you'll obtain some more schematics. It's now time to assemble the schematics. Select Assemble on your base schematics to open up a jumbled mess of a puzzle that centers around the 3 schematic pieces. On the bottom right will be an interface where you can show and select pieces individually or together, and then you can use the arrow buttons above this to move the schematic around, as well as the middle circular arrow to rotate the schematic pieces. Firstly, make sure you have ticked to show and select schematic 1, but not schematic 2 or 3. So untick the options for schematic 2 and 3. Firstly, rotate and move schematic 1 so that the plus sign aligns with the middle plus cutout in a way that also allows the gears to match with the gear cutouts. Also ensure that the bracket symbols overlap with the bracket cutouts too. Following this, untick both showing and selecting schematic 1, and then tick both showing and selecting for schematic 2. Now rotate this piece so that the 4 flat lines, which are like underscores, are at the top of the puzzle. Afterwards, focus on what I will call the smile, being a flat line that has 2 little shapes either side of it angled upwards. Move the piece so that the smile aligns with the smile cutout that's below the gears and the plus sign. Once it's in position as shown, then deselect both showing and selecting schematic 2, and then tick to both show and select schematic 3. Firstly, rotate this piece so that the human pants section is at the top of the puzzle, and then use the arrow keys to move it around so that the pants shape aligns with the pants cutout. As you do this, the schematic should snap into place and some text saying, "That's it, it all makes sense now," will appear. Once this happens, you can close it and your 3 schematic parts and base will have combined into a single schematic. It's time to return to Dondakan. For this, use your Ring of Wealth to teleport to the Grand Exchange before running northwest to the trapdoor leading to Keldagrim, selecting travel on it to take the minecart there. Once you arrive, run northwest to the boat along the stream, and after reaching the dock, select travel on the Dwarven Boatman to arrive at the entry area. Then select travel on the Dwarven Ferryman to cross the bridge. From here, just like you did before, run east across the bridge, then north for a little while, and then loop back and head west across another bridge until you arrive back at Dondakan. If you haven't yet, then equip your very heavy gold helmet and then talk to Dondakan. And after a short chat, say, "You may fire when ready," to then start a short cutscene whereby you're blasted headfirst through the wall and into a unique cave. Go through the dialogue where you realize that you're now inside the rock and learn that the Arzinian Being who guards it wants you gone. You also learn that while the gold helmet will allow you to stay in this area, you only have 8 minutes before you're kicked out, and so you'll need to do this next part somewhat fast. Also keep the gold helmet worn at all times. When the dialogue finishes, start mining from the rocks and ore veins, with the Arzinian Being bothering you constantly through dialogue. Just ignore the text pop-ups and continue mining the gold. You need a minimum of 6 gold to take on the boss, however if you gather 15 then the boss's combat level will drop from 125 to 75. Personally, I recommend just getting 6 gold. However, if your combat level is very low, then consider mining 15. Once you have either 6 or 15 gold, you'll then want to run further into the middle of the cave until you reach a wall of flames, and then select to jump through it, triggering a small cutscene. After it ends, head to the flames further inside the room, and then talk to the flames, triggering the boss fight. Here the Arzinian Being will summon an Arzinian avatar, and you'll want to see if it's an avatar of magic, ranging, or strength. And should you have access to protection prayers, then pray against the combat style that it uses. So as I got the Avatar of Strength, I prayed Protect from melee. Then just attack the avatar and work your way through defeating them. Note that if you have less than 6 gold in your inventory, then this avatar will be impossible to defeat, so keep all of your gold on you. The avatar has 100 hit points if it's level 125 or 70 if it's level 75, and overall it's a pretty straightforward fight, especially with protection prayers. Attack and defeat the avatar, and once it's defeated, you'll instantly be transported out of the cave and back to Dondakan. Simply chat to Dondakan and go through the dialogue with him before BAM! Quest complete. You'll be awarded a heavy gold helmet, access to the Arzinian Mine, the ability to teleport to Dondakan's rock using a Ring of Wealth, 5000 defense XP, 5000 mining XP, 5000 smithing XP, and 2 quest points. Thanks so much for watching, catch you in the next quest.